Imagine a simple metal that has been quietly sitting in kitchens, temples, and hospitals for thousands of years. Yet most people never realize it may be influencing their health every single day. Copper is one of the oldest metals known to human civilization, and long before modern science existed, people across many cultures believed this glowing reddish metal carried mysterious healing power. Ancient travelers carried copper coins, believing they could protect them from sickness, while warriors sometimes wore copper bracelets, thinking the metal could restore strength and balance in the body. And while some of these old beliefs may sound like myths, modern science is slowly discovering that copper truly does play a fascinating role inside the human body. And the story of copper is far more surprising than most people imagine, because deep inside every human cell, copper quietly helps life function in ways we rarely think about, from helping produce energy to supporting the brain and even assisting the immune system. This ancient metal may be one of the hidden helpers of human biology, but the real story begins thousands of years ago in ancient Egypt, where healers were already using copper vessels to store drinking water, believing the metal could keep water fresh and safe to drink. Long before bacteria were discovered, Egyptian medical texts describe how copper compounds were sometimes used to treat wounds and skin infections. And although they had no microscopes, they noticed something important: water stored in copper containers seemed to stay cleaner for longer time. Centuries later, ancient Greek physicians also mentioned copper in early medical writings, where copper mixtures were used to help clean wounds and prevent infection. Even the famous physician Hippocrates, who is often called the father of medicine, reportedly described certain uses of copper-based treatments. And what makes these historical practices fascinating is that modern research now confirms copper actually has natural antimicrobial properties, which means it can destroy or weaken many harmful microbes, including bacteria, viruses, and fungi. When these tiny organisms touch copper surfaces, their outer protective layers begin to break down and their internal systems fail, which explains why water stored in copper containers may have been safer long before modern purification systems existed. In recent years, scientists studying hospital infections discovered that copper surfaces can reduce the survival of dangerous bacteria compared with many other materials, which has led some hospitals to experiment with copper-coated door handles, bed rails, and medical equipment to help slow the spread of infection. But copper does not only work outside the body, it also works inside us, because copper is considered an essential trace mineral, meaning the body needs only a small amount, but that small amount performs many powerful jobs. One of the most important roles of copper is helping the body produce energy inside tiny structures called mitochondria, which act like miniature power stations within our cells. These cellular power stations transform nutrients into usable energy, and copper assists certain enzymes that make this energy production possible. Without enough copper, the body can struggle to maintain healthy energy metabolism, which may affect fatigue levels, physical performance, and general vitality. Copper is also deeply involved in the production of connective tissue, which helps hold the body together, including skin, blood vessels, bones, and joints. This is partly because copper helps activate enzymes that support the formation of collagen and elastin, two proteins that contribute to skin strength, flexibility, and overall structure, which may explain why copper has sometimes been linked with skin health in traditional practices. And interestingly, copper also supports the production of melanin, the pigment responsible for coloring our hair, skin, and eyes, which means this mineral quietly participates in shaping some of our visible traits. Though, of course, genetics still plays the largest role, another remarkable aspect of copper is its connection with the brain and nervous system, because copper helps regulate certain neurotransmitters, the chemical messengers that allow nerve cells to communicate with each other. These signals influence mood, memory, attention, and many other psychological functions. And while copper alone cannot determine mental health balance, scientists know that maintaining proper levels of essential minerals, including copper, contributes to healthy brain chemistry and nerve function. This is one reason nutrition researchers often emphasize balanced diets that include trace minerals, because even tiny nutritional gaps over long periods could potentially influence biological systems in subtle ways. Copper also supports the immune system, which acts as the body's internal defense network. Immune cells rely on copper-dependent enzymes that help protect tissues, From harmful molecules known as free radicals, these unstable molecules can damage cells if they accumulate excessively, and copper-assisted enzymes work as part of the antioxidant defense system that helps keep these reactive substances under control. However, balance is extremely important because while copper is essential, too much copper can also be harmful, which is why the body carefully regulates how much copper it absorbs, transports, and stores. Organs such as the liver help manage copper levels, ensuring the mineral is delivered where it is needed and removed when excess appears. This delicate balance shows how remarkable the human body truly is, constantly adjusting nutrients to maintain stability. Another fascinating chapter of the copper story involves drinking water and cultural traditions across parts of Asia and the Middle East. Storing water in copper vessels has been practiced for generations, sometimes overnight before drinking, and in certain traditional systems of health. People believe this process could help balance the body and support digestion. Modern laboratory studies have shown that copper surfaces can reduce microbial contamination in water over time, which may partially explain why such practices developed historically, though scientists emphasize that modern water treatment systems remain the safest and most reliable methods today. Still, the cultural memory of copper as a purifier has traveled through centuries, connecting ancient wisdom with modern scientific curiosity. And copper influence does not stop at water containers or nutrition, because this metal also appears in clothing, fabrics, and wellness products, where some companies claim copper-infused materials may support joint comfort or muscle recovery. While some users report benefits, scientific evidence in these areas is still developing, and researchers continue exploring how copper ions might interact with skin or tissues through prolonged contact. Yet the popularity of these products shows how the ancient fascination with copper remains alive in modern culture. People continue searching for natural ways to support health, and copper often reappears in these conversations, partly because its biological role is real, even if some claims become exaggerated along the way. When discussing copper nutrition, many everyday foods naturally contain small amounts of this mineral, including nuts, seeds, whole grains, legumes, shellfish, and certain leafy vegetables. A very balanced diet usually provides sufficient copper for most people, which is why severe copper deficiency is relatively uncommon in healthy individuals. However, when deficiencies do occur, they may affect blood cell formation, energy metabolism, and nerve function. Because copper helps the body use iron properly and assists enzymes involved in red blood cell production, this connection between copper and iron demonstrates how nutrients rarely act alone. Instead, they operate as part of complex networks supporting each other in countless biochemical reactions inside the body. And this idea leads to an important health lesson. Nutrition is not about single miracle substances, but about balanced diversity and long-term habits. Sometimes modern health culture searches for quick fixes or magical ingredients, but biology tends to reward consistent, balanced nourishment rather than extreme trends. Copper story also touches psychology and human perception, because for centuries, shiny metals like copper, gold, and silver were associated with vitality, power, and spiritual protection. Ancient civilizations often linked metals with cosmic forces, believing certain materials carried energetic qualities that could influence human well-being. While these symbolic beliefs may not match modern scientific explanations, they reveal something meaningful about human psychology. People have always looked to nature for signs of healing, strength, and balance, and metals like copper became symbols of that search in temples, statues, jewelry, and daily objects across the world. Even today, the warm glow of copper often evokes feelings of tradition, craftsmanship, and timeless durability, which may explain why copper cookware, home decor, and wellness items remain popular in many cultures. And yet, despite all this history, copper remains somewhat mysterious to the average person, because it works quietly without dramatic headlines. Unlike vitamins that frequently dominate health conversations, trace minerals often stay in the background, performing their tasks silently each day. But when researchers look closely, they see how these small elements help maintain the intricate machinery of life, from enzyme activity to cellular energy, from brain communication to antioxidant defense. Copper participates in hundreds of biochemical interactions, making it a small but meaningful player in human health. And as science advances, new discoveries continue emerging about how minerals interact with genes, metabolism, and the environment. Some researchers are exploring how copper imbalance might relate to certain neurological or metabolic conditions, while others study how copper surfaces could help reduce microbial transmission in crowded environments. Though these fields are still evolving, they demonstrate how a metal known since ancient times still inspires modern investigation. Perhaps the most fascinating lesson from copper's story is how ancient observation and modern science sometimes meet in unexpected ways early civilizations did not know about. Microbes, enzymes, or mitochondria. Yet, through careful experience, they notice patterns such as water staying fresher in copper containers or wounds responding to copper-based mixtures. Centuries later, microscopes, chemistry, and molecular biology began revealing mechanisms that could explain some of those observations, reminding us that human curiosity has always driven progress, even when the tools were limited. And in today's world, where technology moves quickly, the story of copper invites us to slow down and appreciate how deeply nature and history intertwine with health. Because sometimes the most ordinary objects around us carry extraordinary stories. Copper pipes deliver water, copper wires carry electricity, and copper atoms inside our bodies help power the invisible processes that keep us alive. Each breath, each heartbeat, each nerve signal quietly supported by tiny mineral partners working behind the scenes. And when we recognize these hidden connections, we gain a new appreciation for how complex and elegant the human body truly is. So the next time you notice the warm reddish shine of copper in a kitchen pot, a coin, or a decorative bracelet, remember that this humble metal has traveled beside humanity for thousands of years. From ancient healers and explorers to modern laboratories and hospitals, its journey reflects our endless search for knowledge, balance, and well-being. And if you enjoyed discovering the surprising world behind this ancient metal, take a moment to like this video, share your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe for more fascinating facts that reveal the hidden science behind everyday life.